Alright, let's just do 10 minutes here. 2024, Rove R3 Dashcam. We're on page 127. I talked too much and said too little in the last video. Let's just try to focus on the reading. I mean, we were focused, but it just got kind of upset. Anyway, so bottom page 127, chapter Probability and Randomness, book Rationality, what it is, why it seems scarce, why it matters, author Steven Pinker, year 2021, 2, 3, 21. Okay. Right, conjunctive, disjunctive, and conditional probabilities. A TV meteorologist announces there is a 50% chance of rain on Saturday and a 50% chance of rain on Sunday, and concludes there is a 100% chance of rain over the weekend. In an old joke, a man carries a bomb onto a plane for his own safety because he figures, what are the chances that a plane will have 2 bombs on it? And then there's the argument that the Pope is almost certainly a space alien. The probability that a randomly selected person on Earth is the Pope is tiny, 1 out of 7.8 billion, or 0.0000000013. Francis is the Pope, therefore Francis is probably not a human being. In reasoning about probability, it's easy to go off the rails. These clangers come from misapplying the next step in understanding probability. How to calculate the probabilities of a conjunction, a disjunction, a complement, and a conditional. If these terms sound familiar, it's because they are the probabilistic equivalents of and, or, not, and if-then from the previous chapter. Though the formulas are simple, each lays a trap, and tripping them is what gives rise to the probability gaffes. The probability of a conjunction of 2 independent events, probability A and B, is the product of the probabilities of each, probability of A times the probability of B. If the Greens have 2 children, what is the probability that both are girls? It's the probability that the first one is a girl, 0.5, times the probability that the second is a girl, also 0.5, or 0.25. Translating from single event to frequentist language, we will find that in all the 2 children families we look at, a quarter will be all girl. More intuitive still, the classical definition of probability advises us to lay out the logical possibilities. Boy, 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 girl, girl, boy, girl, girl. One of these 4 is all girl. The trap in the conjunction formula lies in the proviso independent. In the what? Proviso. A condition or qualification attached to. This is the thing that's provided. Okay. The trap in the conjunction formula lies in the proviso independent. Events are independent when they are disconnected. The chance of seeing one has no bearing on the chance of seeing the other. Imagine a society, perhaps not far off, in which people can choose the sex of their children. Imagine, for the sake of the example, that parents are gender chauvinists, half wanting only boys and the other only girls. If the first child is a girl, it tips us off that the parents preferred a girl, which means they would opt for a girl again, and vice versa if the first child is a boy. The events are not independent, and multiplication fails. If the preferences were absolute and the technology perfect, every family would have only sons or only daughters, and the probability that a 2-child family is all girl would be 0.5, not 0.25. Okay, back to page 128. The trap in the conjunction formula lies in the proviso independent, which is italicized. What is the proviso independent? Is that by itself a term? Proviso. Doesn't seem to be. So we're using it as a noun adjective here. We're talking, okay, the trap in the conjunction formula lies in the independent, which is a condition or it's a thing attached to a, yeah, so it's okay. So on page 128, the previous paragraph, we had the probability of a conjunction of two independent events is the product of the probabilities of each. And that proviso, the word independent, when you remove that, when it's not independent, it's not disconnected, as in the case of when, as how the chance of seeing one has no bearing on the chance of seeing the other. But when it's not independent, when seeing one does have a bearing on the chance of seeing another, which means on page 129 that someone who preferred girls would opt for a girl again, then the multiplication fails. The events are not independent and the multiplication fails. All right, sure. All right, so continuing on page 129, failing to think about whether events are independent can lead to big boo-boos. When a streak of rare occurrences pops up in entities that are not quarantined from one another, the occupants of a building who give each other colds, or the members of a peer group who copy each other's fashions, or the survey answers from a single respondent who retains his biases from question to question, or the measurement of anything on successive days or months or years which may show inertia, then the set of observations is in effect a single event, not a freakish run of events, and their probabilities may not be multiplied. For example, if the crime rate was below average in each of the 12 months after neighborhood watch signs were posted in a city, it would be a mistake to conclude that their run must be due to the signage rather than chance. Let's do that again. Failing to think about whether events are independent can lead to big boo-boos. So that's going to mean, like, when you talk about that, when you apply multiplication because you think they're independent, and so you think they each have their own probability, and then the idea that they all happen together, that's going to be, of course, a smaller probability. You're going to get some multiplication, 0.5 times 0.5. When they're not independent, so a girl is born, I want another girl. I want to keep it all girls. So the chances that people are going to have all girls, so everybody's doing that, don't need to multiply. Because they're all linked. Because they're not independent, it's about your decision to have all girls or to have all boys, not about each event. Yeah. So when a streak of rare occurrences pops up in entities that are not quarantined from another, the occupants of a building who give each other colds, or the members of a peer group who copy each other's fashions, then the set of observations is in effect a single event, not a freakish run of events, and their probabilities may not be multiplied. For example, if the crime rate was below average in each of the 12 months that neighborhood watch signs were posted in a city, it would be a mistake to conclude that the run must be due to the signage rather than chance. Why? Crime rates change slowly, with the patterns in one month carrying over to the next. So the outcome is closer to a single coin flip than a run of 12 coin flips. Well, is that a typo, or I guess I'm just not understanding, huh? All right. Someone help me out. Anyway, we'll leave off there in the middle of page 129.